Okay, so let's dive back in. We've been exploring this really radical vision for society, the society that needs no owners.
Yeah.
We've covered the big picture stuff, right? The problems. Moving past currency, focusing on well-being and time of life.
Exactly. And we landed on those two huge structural changes. The 4-hour workday for everyone in a purely productive setup and shrinking communities down to these small cellulas of about 25,000 people. That scale is key for trust, according to the source.
Right, the trust factor, so the philosophical why is there. But now, this is our 5th source deep dive, chapter 4, the rules of the game. This feels like where the rubber meets the road. It's the how.
It has to be, doesn't it? I mean, a vision like this only works if the day-to-day rules are super clear, transparent, and crucially enforced by the citizens themselves, not some distant bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So yeah, our mission here is to really get a grip on these practical rules, the compass, the rudder that supposedly turn principles into reality. How does control actually stay with the people?
Okay, let's start right at the foundation. Power. Local sovereignty. The source is adamant that direct participatory democracy only works if you keep things small. That cellular size, 25,000 or so, is non-negotiable for building that necessary trust.
Mm-hmm. And that creates what they call the cellula Estado. Think of it like a tiny, independent city-state almost. Self-sufficient, sustainable, that's baked into the design. And this is important. It has its own local currency.
Which isn't just pie-in-the-sky theory, right? The source actually points to Maracá in Brazil.
Yeah, they mentioned the Mubuca social currency there. It serves as a kind of proof of concept, suggesting that, yes, local economic sovereignty can work if the scale and community integration are right.
So each cellula is its own state. Does it have its own constitution then, like a huge legal document?
Sort of, but not like we think of them. It's described more as living rules. Flexible, adaptable, but always grounded in those core principles we talked about. Human dignity, regenerative harmony, and that balance between equality and liberty.
And the governance. How does that work if it's not top-down?
It's radically bottom-up. Starts at the absolute base, the condominial level, maybe 150 people.
Your immediate neighbors, basically.
Exactly. Everyone there votes directly on stuff that affects them.
Yeah.
Then, reps from these condos go to the neighborhood level to coordinate things, like maybe a shared park or tool library.
Okay.
Only then do you get counselors at the cellular level, handling the bigger cellular state issues, infrastructure, maybe resource allocation between neighborhoods.
Now, this next bit seems critical for stopping power creed. The source talks about superior levels, federations, maybe like an internal UN for these cellulas. What's their deal?
Their deal is cooperation only. Sharing resources, exchanging knowledge, maybe coordinating large-scale environmental projects that cross cellular boundaries.
But they can't tell a cellula what to do.
Zero power of imposition. That's the explicit rule. They facilitate, they suggest, they help cellulas work together, but they cannot command. Power stays local.
Okay, but hang on. What if there's a real dispute? Like, Cellula A is polluting the river that flows into Cellula B. If the Federation has no teeth, how does that get resolved? Just good vibes.
Well, the source argues the incentive for that kind of conflict is way lower. Remember, the economy isn't based on endless growth or resource hoarding, it's based on time and well-being. Regenerative harmony is a core constitutional principle everywhere. So the idea is disputes are handled through mediation, transparency.
Naming and shaming, maybe.
Possibly that, or withdrawal of cooperation. If a cellula consistently violates core principles, other cellulas might just stop trading or collaborating with them. The cost of being ostracized in terms of time and resources is supposed to be the deterrent. It banks heavily on collaboration always being cheaper time-wise than conflict.
Interesting. A social deterrent rather than a legal one. Okay, so let's trace an idea. I'm a citizen. I want a public orchard. What happened?
Right, you submit your proposal, first stop. It goes through 3 automatic checks: ethics, ecology, and constitutionality councils.
Councils run by AI.
Specialized, supposedly unbiased AIs. They act as objective referees. Is it ethical? Is it ecologically sound? Does it align with the cellula's constitution? If it passes those,
Then what?
then the AI calculates the cost. Not in money, but in the only currency that counts, hours of life. How much total work time is needed from the community to make this orchard happen?
And that number, that time cost, gets attached to the proposal.
And sent straight down to the condominial level for everyone to vote on directly, yes or no, knowing exactly what it cost them in time.
Hold on, unbiased AI. That sounds tricky. Who programs these AIs? How do you guarantee they stay unbiased? Isn't there a risk that whoever controls the AI subtly controls the agenda?
That's a fair challenge. The source claims the safeguard is radical transparency.
Yeah.
The algorithms, the training data, everything is supposedly open source and constantly auditable by anyone in any cellula. The idea is that any attempt to bake in bias would be immediately obvious to citizen auditors. It relies on mass oversight to counter the risk of centralized tech control.
Okay, banking on transparency. That leads us straight into the economy then. Section 2, the economy of life. You vote yes, you know the time cost, it's direct.
Super direct. No intermediaries, no hidden fees, no wondering where your tax money went. You know exactly what your yes vote means for your time commitment. It makes every decision personal.
Let's use their example, the library one. That really makes it clear. Building a new library in your condo.
Okay, so say the whole project needs 2,000 hours of various kinds of work design, construction, setup, and the plan is to get it done in 3 months.
How does that translate per person?
Well, you've got, 150 people in the condo, 3 months, say 22 working days a month. You spread that 2,000 hours across everyone,
Yeah.
carry the one. It comes out to 0.202 hours per person per working day.
Which is like 12 minutes.
12 minutes a day, yeah, for those 3 months.
Wow, 12 minutes of your day for 3 months and you get a permanent library. That makes the cost incredibly tangible. You feel that. You're not just voting on abstract budgets.
You know exactly where your time is going. And this is absolutely crucial. It's not extra work on top of your day.
Right, this comes out of the invest an hour.
Exactly. Remember the 4-hour workday. 3 hours are for producing the essentials everyone needs. That 4th hour, it's specifically set aside for collective projects like the library or personal development or just pure leisure. It's flexible.
So when the community votes yes on the library, a small slice of that collective potential in the 4th hour gets allocated. Nobody works 5 hours. The 4-hour limit is sacred.
Precisely. The investment comes from time already designated as flexible or collective, not from adding to the burden.
And this direct time funding system, it leads to something huge. No juros, no interest.
Correct. Interest is basically a payment for risk, right? The lender risks the borrower defaulting.
Okay.
But here the payment is a collective guarantee of time from everyone in the cellula or condo. There's no lender and borrower in the traditional sense. The community is the guarantor, so the financial risk is essentially zero.
No risk, no need for an interest premium.
And therefore, no mechanism for financial extortion through interest.
Okay, but zero risk. What if the library project goes over budget, time-wise? Or materials cost more time to produce than expected? Or, say, 30 people move out of the condo mid-project. Who makes up the difference?
The collective guarantee holds. If there's a shortfall, that revised time cost has to be covered by the remaining community members from their collective investment hour pool. Transparency is key again. If the project needs an extra month, that reality, that extra time cost, is presented back to the condominium. Maybe they vote again, maybe they find efficiencies, but the responsibility stays internal, shared, and visible. It doesn't become external debt.
Right, it forces constant reevaluation. And this time-based system, it also stops power accumulating, right? You can't just buy up influence.
How could you? You can't buy someone else's time. You only have your own 4 hours a day to contribute or exchange. Maybe you trade an hour of your gardening skill for an hour of someone's repair skill, but you can't hoard abstract wealth to command armies of workers.
And even physical stuff, like owning 2 houses.
The source suggests it becomes impractical. Think of the time cost. Just to maintain a second property you don't really need. Cleaning it, repairing it, securing it.
Yeah.
It eats into your free time, which is the ultimate measure of wealth here. So the incentive to hoard physical assets just diminishes. Free time becomes more valuable than stuff.
Okay, that covers the economy and structure. Let's shift gears. Even in a high-trust society, things go wrong. People hurt each other. How does security and justice work? Section 3.
Yeah, they acknowledge transgression will still exist, but the approach shifts radically from reactive force to predictive intelligence. They call it the predictive guardian system.
Predictive? How?
Okay, this is where it gets tech-heavy again. A dense network of cameras, audio sensors, data gathering. But, and this is stressed repeatedly, the raw data is totally encrypted.
Okay, encrypted from whom?
From everyone, essentially in real time. It feeds into AIs, but these AIs aren't looking to punish after a crime. They're trained for prediction and prevention. They look for patterns, escalating arguments, signs of unusual distress, anomalous behavior that might indicate a brewing conflict.
And if the AI flags something, who gets the call? The cops.
No. This is the humane part, they argue. If the AI detects a situation nearing a concerning threshold, it sends a silent alert, not to an armed patrol, but to the people deemed best placed to de-escalate with empathy, the friends and family of the person involved.
So your friends get a ping on their device saying, hey, Bob seems really agitated down at the plaza.
Something like that. The idea is they can intervene personally, talk the person down, figure out what's wrong before it escalates into something serious, using social bonds as the first line of defense.
Wow. Okay, that immediately screams Big Brother, though. Sensors everywhere. Listening. Analyzing behavior. How is this not a surveillance nightmare?
They anticipated that fear, obviously. The source outlines 3 main safeguards. First, that total encryption. No one can just tap in and watch or listen live. Not leaders, not neighbors.
Okay, so it's not live surveillance, but the data exists. What about after an incident?
Access is tightly controlled. Viewing recordings requires explicit authorization from an ethics council, and only for investigating something that already happened. It's for accountability, not spying.
And safeguard number 3.
Absolute transparency during that investigation. If they need to review footage related to you, it can only be done with you present, along with your chosen representatives, maybe your friends. Nothing happens behind closed doors. The aim is accountability, making responsibility unavoidable, not creating a secret police.
So the real deterrent isn't fear of punishment from above, but the certainty that your actions, especially harmful ones, will be known within your immediate community.
Exactly. It leverages the social pressure and mutual care of that small cellular structure. The goal isn't control, it's protecting the vulnerable kids, victims of potential violence, and maintaining community peace by relying on social connections first.
And all of this, the cellular governance, the time economy, this predictive justice, it all seems to depend utterly on that small scale, that 25,000 person limit.
It really does.
Yeah.
The social currency needs that density of interaction. The collective time guarantee needs that shared responsibility. The friend and family intervention relies on people actually being nearby and connected.
So, pulling it all together, what these rules seem to do is yank power out of abstraction, out of distant governments, out of complex financial markets, and put it directly into the hands of citizens, making decisions with tangible costs in their own time. Society becomes something you actively build, minute by minute, not something that just happens to you.
And the whole intricate system stands or falls on that one fundamental promise, that everything society needs can actually be produced within that strict 4-hour workday.
Which tees up perfectly our final thought for you, the listener. If this whole architecture, governance, economy, justice relies on just 4 hours of work per day, the massive question becomes, how on earth do they actually engineer society to produce everything? Food, goods, healthcare infrastructure, in such a radically limited time frame.
Yeah, what does the actual production system look like? That's the architecture of the purely productive society, and that's where we'll have to pick things up next time.